William Ferrand from Refinitiv, and I'm going to be talking to you about wealth tech, about RegTech, and how we're sort of working with partners. So quickly, for those of you that don't know Refinitiv, I think we've heard it referred to as Thomson Reuters a few times today. I'm still wearing my orange tie, so I'm still branded on Thomson Reuters, although I hear that's clever soft branding as well. But we've been working in the wealth management industry for 30 years, and we've had lots of different products, whether it's feeds into back office systems, KYC products, front-end products, digital products. But since Blackstone made the investment a year ago, it's actually our 1-year anniversary in a month's time, and we became Refinitiv. We've put an extra focus on wealth management. There's been a huge investment, not just on our products, but also on working with partners, on really selecting partners carefully. And I think we've heard really well, today how good these partners are, and that they share our values, and that they really have special products. Because there are a lot of potential partners out there, but we really want to work with the best, and I think we really heard that today. So why put the investment into wealth? Why a focus on wealth? So we've sort of been trying to go out to the market and talk about trends, and I think the main trends we're seeing, so the first one is we heard, I think, in the first talk about from Wealth Arc about the handing down of money from one generation to the next. We're always hearing, we're handing down to the millennials. I'm a millennial, I like to talk about millennials, but actually a lot of that money is going to 40 to 60-year-olds, it's not going to millennials. And that doesn't change anything, because the adoption of technology is still huge among 40 to 60-year-olds. My parents are at the latter end of that, but they're always taking photos, WhatsApping me whenever they're on holidays. They really love their technology, and it really brought it home for me. I was on holiday with my wife, hiking in Scotland, being a Brit, my Brexit holiday. I was hiking with my wife in Scotland a couple of weeks ago, and we went and stopped at a pub for lunch, and at the next door table of us, in the middle of nowhere in Scotland, a group of ladies who I'd say were probably in their mid-50s were meeting for lunch, and the entire conversation was about technology. What Netflix shows are they watching? What are the new apps they're looking at? Showing each other videos on their phones. And I think that really brought home the fact that it's not just millennials that are keen on technology, and that we really need to embrace technology for everyone, and that it is a huge opportunity, because there are so many great tools out there. You've got some on the screen, machine learning, cloud technology, things like this, and they can be seen as a huge cost to companies. But actually, I think those that will embrace technology, that will really take advantage of it, are the ones that are going to survive and thrive in the long run. Especially as more and more disruptors come in. And it's not just on the technology side. I think, the reason we're here today, regulation, we've had a lot of new regulations coming in, but those can be seen as opportunities. Open banking, I think, is a regulation that we can really, really take advantage of. And with FidLeg, I think, it's an opportunity as well. Yes, it's going to be an extra cost, but if we can automate things, do them well, it can be a point of difference for companies. And finally, the real reason that I think since the financial crisis 10 years ago, we've really seen banks, people focusing on wealth, is that it's a growth area. The lower capital requirements, the fact that the middle class has doubled since the year 2000, there is more money being created, but that also means that there's a lot more competition, because everyone's starting to focus on it. So a lot of companies have big, ambitious growth targets, and how do you get to those? Buying companies is quite an expensive way of doing things. Trying to attract new money is quite difficult as well. Just hearing that someone's company's IPO'd isn't enough to just approach them, and you need to really have meaningful conversations and build those relationships with people. And I think that as we look towards digitalization, looking to work cross assets, so not just at investments, looking at pensions, cash guarantees, insurance, etc., is somewhere that we can grow. And as it's loyalty is probably harder and harder to keep because it's easier and easier for people to switch around. It's a good way of diversifying, where your returns are, where your money's coming from, but also of trying to lock people into your ecosystem, because it's not just the banks going after this, but actually it's big tech. We keep hearing about Amazon flirting with wealth management. It's about the fintechs. Okay, in the UK, Revolut is someone we've been speaking to. They're planning on going from 6 to 18 million users in the next year. I mean, that's huge. And it's because those barriers to entry with the digitalization are lower. So if we can embrace technology, it's really somewhere that we can grow. And I think looking at those barriers to entry, this is one of my favorite slides, is the fact that, okay, it took telephones 75 years to reach 50 million users. That went down with radio, TV, internet, Facebook, always going down. But the latest one, Pokemon Go, 19 days to reach 50 million users. It's just amazing. So what's Refinitiv been trying to achieve on this side? And traditionally, we've built products for our trading community, for our institutional community, and we've sort of tried to adapt them to wealth. And that's not really going to cut it going forwards, especially with this big investment coming in. So we worked with a company called Sapient and went out and spoke to wealth management clients. And we tried to find out, what is it that keeps them up? What are they trying to achieve? What are they struggling with? And so to go through some of the aspects I've just covered, I think that there are high growth targets. So people are looking after more clients. Those clients are asking for a better service. I talked about the fact that we've got technology. People want things on their fingertips. People want to be able to access it from their mobiles. They require a better service. At the same time, there's more admin. There are more costs with these regulations. So, and they also have more data, which can be a good thing, but actually can be a problem, because you want to have the relevant data. You want to look at what can actually help you. And so these companies were saying, look, we want the latest technology. We want all of this to help us, but actually, we're not a technology firm. We're not a data firm. We want to focus on our core competencies. We want to focus on what we're good at. So with Refinitiv, we're trying to solve for that. We're trying to move away from just purely providing market data to people, but actually working with our customers, working with our partners, so that we can integrate their client data with our market data, so that we can really surface the relevant information for wealth managers, and so that the wealth managers can actually receive something that's more meaningful, not just switching between hundreds of different systems to try to make sense of the data, to try to make sense of what's happening, and to try to bring the investors and the advisors closer together. So the way we tried to sort of look at what the workflow is and what that path is, from lead generation to client reporting and regulatory reporting and all of these things. And we categorized it as 3 data sets. So we've got the investor data, so whether that's the KYC data that we heard of at the beginning, whether that's the CRM information, PII information from the investors, financial market data, that's been our bread and butter for years. That's what Thomson Reuters, Refinitiv has done for years and has done very well, so that you can make those investment decisions. And finally, using the products and portfolios, and that has a lot of internally generated data from companies, house views, conviction lists, house research, things like this, ratings. All of these are great on their own, but actually, if you can commingle them together and bring everything together, that's where the power is. And so we realize we can't be everything to everyone. Every firm would love to be able to completely play across the board, but that's just not going to be possible. And so working with key partners, such as WealthArc, such as Cleversoft, such as Investment Navigator, can really help us. So some of the areas that we've always worked on, data for portals, whether public or investor, the KYC onboarding side of things, the market data that I've just been talking about, but actually leveraging our partners, working with the Investment Navigator on investment suitability, UCITS and PRIPS documentation from Cleversoft, whether it's working with WealthArc, for things like asset allocation, statement generation, things like that, and working with them to integrate both for the advisors and also, on the client portals. So all of this sounds great, but wouldn't be much help to us if we didn't actually have good data. I talked at the beginning about how we've come out of Thomson Reuters, so news, we still, work exclusively with Reuters News, and we have a partnership there, so we still have the sort of best-in-class news. Looking at the data, macroeconomic data, market data, reference data, we're putting a lot of investment into our Lipper fund database, and bringing all of that data together. But then, as I was saying, linking it in with the client data so that it can become more meaningful for both the advisors and the investors. So what's that brought us? So I've sort of been talking about the fact that we're looking at two sides. We're looking at the advisor side and we're looking at the investor side. So the two are linked together, but if we look at the advisor side first, what are we trying to do? And working with the likes of WealthArc, being able to integrate that client data with our market data. So bringing in your proprietary information, bringing in your house views, your house research and things like this, embedding it all together so that it can surface better information. Integrating the workflow, working with APIs, working with third-party applications. We heard about the App Studio from Investment Navigator. We heard about the App Studio from Florian on Cleversoft. And bringing all of these together, obviously we want the technology to be thin. I talked about the fact that these companies aren't technology companies. They want us to be able to integrate things for them. They want it on the latest technology on HTML5. And hopefully that can connect both the investor and the advisor together and help give a more bespoke, more tailored view of the world. So it's not just a view, it's something that we're actually doing now. We've started the early access program, so we've got certain clients already testing the latest product that we've started to release. And it's built on the latest technology, it's built on HTML5, so that means that our customers can go from a desktop to a laptop to a tablet to a phone and still have the same views. They can navigate easily. It's a browser type navigation. The searching is a lot easier and remembers previous searches. We are bringing through a portfolio-centric view so that you can start doing attribution on your portfolios, bringing through that internal research, bringing through those house views, but commingling it with the market data so that you have everything in one place. And of course, last but not least, but most importantly for me, having those APIs so that you can link with your partners, so that the App Studio, you can bring in the sides that we can't do and bring in that extra information. So then the investor side, we've started launching our new Refinitiv data platform, and this means that we've got new databases, new APIs that are easier, to feed our data into our partners, but also to feed our partner data in with us. So we've got, the Cleversoft documents that you can pull through. We can feed our data onto WealthArc through these APIs, and really working together. And we are saying that the amount of data, the types of data that are needed are changing. So, for example, the two most recent data sets we've onboarded onto this API are our ESG database and our market psych news sentiment database. So really looking forwards at what kind of data sets people want, where people are looking, where people are going. But just putting data on websites isn't enough if you can't have widgets, APIs, things that are easy to integrate, and actually looking at it from a workflow perspective. How can certain widgets help for certain workflows? And by doing this and integrating all of these, I can see robo services over there that we mentioned. You can look at vendor of record, you can look at auxiliary services, but you can bring in analytics. And it means that, going back to this idea that the investor and the advisor have the same views of the data, they can really look at it in the same way, and they can look at the same data, whether they're the advisor looking on their desktop or looking through a wealth portal, and they can really talk the same language, talk to each other and work together. So in summary, what are we trying to do? We're trying to move away from just purely providing market data, but actually working with our partners, whether that's our third-party partners who provide excellent analytics, excellent data, documents that we don't have, but also working with our clients as partners so that they can get to market quicker, they can increase satisfaction. And I think my theme was meant to be RegTech, it was meant to be wealth tech. I've talked a bit about fintech, but actually what we want is something that's suitable for them and something that's good to use, and probably I'd like to call it easy tech. Thank you.